Hi there, and welcome to the show today. My name is Michael Blanc, and if you're interested in getting started with apartment building investing, you are in the right place. Today's topic is going to be about analyzing deals and how to analyze a deal within 10 minutes of getting a marketing package so you can make an offer quickly. That's what we're going to cover today. When I first started with multifamily investing, one of my biggest challenges was analyzing a deal to make an offer. And at the time, it took me 4 hours to answer the question, what is the most I can pay for this deal and why? And at the time, I didn't really have the tools and the techniques I have now. So I'm going to share with you both of those, because it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, when you get these marketing packages sometimes, some of these pages can be like 20 pages long. I mean, it's overwhelming. It was so overwhelming that I nearly quit because I don't have 4 hours to actually make an offer on this property. And I knew that, real estate is a numbers game. So the more offers I can make, the more chances I would have actually doing a deal. So this was a major hurdle for me. So I want to share with you both kind of the tools and the techniques that I have now, and I call this the 10-minute offer technique. So within 10 minutes of getting a marketing package, you can make an offer. The way it works is you basically take the numbers that are provided to you by the broker in the marketing package, you apply some rules of thumb, and then you essentially use the broker's numbers against them to make the offer. And this only takes 10 minutes. And if you get a nibble, meaning that you get a counter offer or you're invited to make an offer in writing, at that point, it's time to go one level deeper, which we're not going to cover in this call. But 90% of the deals never get to that point. So why waste time itemizing the expenses, making phone calls, researching a deal when you don't even know if you're in the ballpark? So what I'm going to show you next is I'm going to share a screen with you using a spreadsheet that I've created. It's actually part of the syndicated deal analyzer that you can purchase, but you can very easily create this yourself, because we're not going to get into deep analysis. We're just going to work with price, net operating income, and cap rate, and I'm going to explain all those here in just a second. So basically, the 10-minute offer goes something like this: you adjust the income that you get from the broker, you adjust it using rules of thumb, then you adjust the expenses, and then you apply a cap rate to come up with a new price. So that's how it looks like in overview, and now I'm going to go share the screen and show you what this looks like in more detail. Okay, here we are in the syndicated deal analyzer, but you can ignore all the other tabs. This is the very simple tabs I call the scenarios tab, because it just shows different versions side by side, but more importantly, it's very simplistic. It really deals in simple terms that the broker understands, which is price, NOI or net operating income, and cap rate. So we're going to apply that 10-minute offer, and we're not going to use anything in the syndicated deal analyzer for anything else except for this particular tab. And this is very easy for you to replicate, very easy. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort to do that. But let me just show you the 10-minute offer in a nutshell. So we have this marketing package. This is a 20 unit in Texas. It's lovely. It looks great. It's in a good area. And we're provided with trailing financials, which are here. Let's give you a quick tour of the marketing package. The broker, by the way, is telling you it's a 7.5 cap market, which is great. It talks about what they've done to the place and the rent roll. And it gives you some pro formas, because there is some upside in this. The rents are low. So this is just a kind of a typical run-of-the-mill package. Now, for the 10-minute offer, all we really care about is the financials. Now, if you're provided with the real financials, the trailing financials like this one, then use it. If you're given a pro forma, then use that. At this point, you're using the broker's numbers. You're not calling a bunch of people. You're not visiting the property. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're using the broker's numbers essentially against them, is what we're going to do. So step one is to basically replicate the numbers. So the numbers that we're replicating are going to be right here in this column, which is the trailing 12 or 12 months. So you see here, it's got an income of 145, expenses of 40,000, and 104,000 is an net operating income. So we're going to go over here into our spreadsheet, and we're going to put those in here in the column 1, which is the marketing package. So it's 143 income. There's some other income, total net income of 145. And then we're going to be, we have $40,000 in expenses and an NOI of 104. So that's the first thing, is simply just replicate what they've done here. All right, let me just zoom in a little bit here. So the rule of thumb, so step number 1 is to adjust the income. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to go into what I call the My Version column, which is this one here. And I'm going to adjust the income. Now, at this point, I have no reason to believe that the income is wrong. I'm just going to take the income as it is. I have no reason to believe the other income is wrong. Looks about right. Who knows? But what I am seeing is that the rule of thumb is that we have 10% economic vacancy. What does that mean? That means economic vacancy consists of essentially physical vacancy, which their units are not rented, and then there might be economic vacancy, which is people not paying the rent, that kind of stuff. Just in simple terms. The rule of thumb is that we are going to use a 10% economic vacancy unless we're in a really hot market, like New York, San Francisco, or Miami or something like that. But we're going to use a 10% economic vacancy, and that's the first adjustment we're going to make to their numbers, is we're going to apply a vacancy rate to that because they did not do that. They're just reporting essentially full units. So that's the first thing we're doing. Step 2 is we're going to adjust the expenses. Now, you see there's room for itemized expenses. Don't even do that for the 10-minute offer at least. But what we're going to do is a rule of thumb is that the expenses are 50% of the income. Now, if the landlord is paying all the utilities, you might want to go to 55%. But we're going to use 50% for this example here. And as you see here, the reported financials that they had here was only $40,000, which is only under 30%. And this is not atypical. A lot of brokers do this. Now, if you look at this one, for example, you can see quickly, without even looking at that there's no taxes, property taxes in here at all. Okay, so that's glaringly missing. So again, you don't have to go into detail, but the expenses definitely are low. So you apply the rule of thumb to the income, and then you apply the cap rate. Now, if you remember the broker telling us, or if not, it told us either in the marketing package or you can ask them, what is the cap rate? Now, what is the cap rate? The cap rate is essentially a multiplier of what return people are willing to settle for in a particular building, right? So as you know, apartment buildings are valued based on their income, their net operating income, or their NOI, which in this case is right here, is the NOI, right? So if the cap rate is lower, is an inverse proportional. So here's the formula for cap rate, just so we know we're talking about the same thing. Formula for cap rate is price or value equals the net operating income or NOI divided by the cap rate, right? So the cap rate is essentially a way for us to estimate the fair market value of a building. So if we know the net operating income, we know the cap rate, we can estimate the fair value of the building. Now, we know both, right? We have the NOI and we have the cap rate from the broker, which is 7.5%. So what we can do here is in our adjusted NOI, we've adjusted both the income and the expenses. We have a new NOI, and we can apply that cap rate, the 7.5%, to that NOI, right? So it's the NOI divided by the cap rate, and that value now is 872. Now, these guys are asking 1.1, but nevertheless, if we adjust the income and apply the broker's cap rate to that income, the actual more accurate value is 872. So now we know that is actually probably closer to the truth, and that really is a 10-minute offer. Now, what we're going to do next is we're actually going to get back to the broker by applying what we heard here and essentially making an informal offer. All right, so far we did 3 things. We adjusted the income, we adjusted the expenses, and we applied the broker's cap rate to the adjusted NOI to get a fair market value of the property. Now, what we're going to do next is step 4, which is get back to the broker quickly with our analysis and an informal offer price. So it's very important that we do this because most of the time brokers don't actually hear from any buyers, and if you do that, you're going to differentiate yourself. So this is what you're going to get back to with the broker, right? So you're going to say something like, hey, Rob, I appreciate you sending over the package. Looks really good. A nice, solid package. You got some actual in there, some pro forma. I really understand the story. So I was looking really at your trailing 12 financials, and I was looking at the income, and I it's $145,000. And I noticed there wasn't any vacancies reported, so I'm just going to adjust that with 10%, thinking it's 5% vacancy, physical vacancy, and another 5% of bad debt. This is similar to other properties that we've seen as well, and a partner of mine actually did one, and that's kind of what we're seeing in the area. So I adjusted that a little bit, and then your expenses look low. They're about 27% of income. My experience has been, as well as my partners, that they tend to be between 50 and 55% of income. Yours is only 27%. Now, I didn't drill in detail into the expenses because I'm looking at a lot of deals right now. I just, for example, noticed there's no real estate taxes in the P&L. So there's a bunch of stuff missing. I just don't know exactly where. But I know if we were to get on a contract and look into it, the expenses would be probably at least 50% of income. So I adjusted the expense side as well. Now, you said this is a 7.5 cap market. I'm inclined to agree with you, even though I've seen stuff trade a little higher as well, but let's go with 7.5%. So if I apply 7.5% to the adjusted NOI, the fair market value is really right around 870 or so. Now, you guys are asking quite a bit more at 1.1. Is there any flexibility on the seller? Right? So that's how that goes. And, what have you done really? I mean, you've done 3 things. Number 1, you spent no more than 10 minutes analyzing a deal once it came in. That's huge. And number 2, you got back with the broker, which is also huge because it differentiates you. And number 3, you already just started negotiation process. You made an offer. It's really what it is. Now, one of several things can happen from this. You could get no response, which means you're way off base. You can get a counteroffer, or you can be invited to actually put something in writing, at which point you get to a letter of intent phase. Now, at that point, and only at that point, can you go deeper in the analysis. We're not going to cover this on this call here, but like I said, 95% of deals, you never get to that, so why spend a lot of time up front? All right? So don't waste time analyzing your deals ad nauseum. Apply the 10-minute offer. If you do, well, you're only spending 10 minutes on analyzing a deal, and you're making more offers, right? So hope this was useful for you to get started with apartment building investing. All right, that's all I got for this episode. If you're interested in more information about analyzing apartment building deals specifically, I actually have a free ebook which goes in much more depth, and it's at themichaelblank.com/analyzer. So it's Michael Blank, BLANK /analyzer, and that will get you to a book, a page where you can download this free ebook about analyzing deals in 10 minutes, and it goes a little deeper than this also. So again, appreciate the time you've taken here with me, and I will catch you next time. Hey, thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I want to leave you with 3 next things to do. I'll give you a quick tour of those, and I'll tell you how to do them. Step number 1 is to download my free ebook, The Secret to Raising Money to Buy Your First Apartment Building Deal. It is an awesome ebook full of tips for raising money and how to do that. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I put out new videos all the time, and I'd hate for you to miss it. And number 3 is to watch the next video in line. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to click on the first thing, which is to download the ebook. That'll open up a new tab. The video will stop playing. You're going to get the ebook, and then go back to this video, and then click on number 2, right, which is to subscribe on the channel. That'll open a new tab, and then you can go back to the third one and just click on the next video in line. All right, so hope you find that helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.